Welcome to another episode of the A-List podcast. I'm Kwani Lunis, joined by Sherrod Blakely, Gary Washburn. Just hours before the Celtics face the Nets, but let's take it back a notch. First of all, how are you two doing?
Wonderful, Kwani. I'm wonderful. It's a beautiful day. Celtics are doing well. Michael B. Jordan got a star on the Walk of Fame. It's a good day.
Shout out to Michael B. Jordan. Gary, how you feeling?
That's right, Kwani. You better give him a shout out.
Kwani, I'm good. I'm not going into the soliloquies like Sherrod just did about it's a beautiful day, but I'm very good. Thank you, Kwani, for asking.
He loves a good soliloquy, but let's talk about the Celtics and their biggest, I think, Eastern Conference. I think everyone can agree. Eastern Conference opponent right now is the Bucks. The Milwaukee Bucks are riding 16 straight wins right now. The Celtics are only trailing by half a game. But who do you think right now in the East needs home court more, Milwaukee or Boston?
Boston. I think Boston needs it more because Boston is trying to go where Milwaukee has already been. And Milwaukee knows what it's like to make this long journey and ultimately be the last team standing. And they've done it by winning on the road, winning at home. They've been where Boston is trying to get to. They've already mastered the blueprint, if you will. And to me, home court advantage, it just gives you one little extra something that you might need to lean on in case things don't go the way you want them to or expect them to in a playoff series. So I think the Celtics absolutely needed more, if for no other reason, just to know that it's there, that if they drop a game, they have the ability to have that last game if they handle their business in their building.
Yeah, I'd say it was the Celtics. Also, like Sherrod said, the Bucks have won a championship. And remember, too, in that championship of 21, they won 2 games in Phoenix. So they have won tough, difficult road games. They have snatched the hearts of other teams on the road, during the last few years. So they're a more experienced club. And, I just think the Bucks are a team that has no fears. I think the Celtics, you'd love to have game 1 at home and you'd love to have the last game at home. So I think that's important to them. And, Milwaukee, I don't think anybody saw them winning 16 in a row. And we'll see how long this streak lasts, because they have just basically caught and passed the Celtics, not only a half a game, but, the Celtics need to put an emphasis on trying to finish out and get the number 1 seed.
Right, especially because the Celtics were at the top for so long. Now I think Milwaukee is waking up and saying, hey, we're still here. Giannis has been saying for the past few years, put some respect on my name and this team that I decided to stay with. But right now, what do you think the Celtics need to do to at this point, it's not even about getting past them in the regular season because they're already in the playoffs. But what do you think they need to do to make sure they are prepared for a potential matchup like one versus Milwaukee?
Go ahead, Gary.
1, stay healthy. 2, just prepare for that matchup, get all the lineups ready, figure out who you're going to play, get your rotations, your minutes, get everything straight and organized so you're not trying to figure out in the playoffs. But, I think they're so used and familiar with Milwaukee. I don't think the Celtics fear Milwaukee either. And they almost beat Milwaukee with their B team a couple of weeks ago. They literally probably should have won the game. If Derek White hits that open 3 in overtime, it's a win. So it was a shot or 2 from taking that game and into that winning streak. I think it was back then, it was like 11 or something like that. Now it's actually to 16. But I think that they just need to get everything tightened, like keep everybody healthy, make sure the rotations, make sure the starting 5 that currently they haven't played all that many minutes together, get more minutes and time together, and just fine-tune things up, while at the same time still trying to win and get the number 1 seed.
Yeah. I think the one thing I think they need to do more of, and I think they're trending in that direction since the All-Star break, is get a better handle on what Mazzulla ball looks like. Joe Mazzulla, as we get closer to the playoffs, you're just getting a better sense of what he wants to do in terms of X's and O's, in terms of play calling, in terms of rotation. And I think that's so important because when you get to the playoffs, the deeper you go, I think the more value your head coach and his decision-making becomes to the outcome. And Joe Mazzulla, I think, is definitely growing. We don't talk nearly as much about the timeout situation with him anymore because he's doing a better job of making the adjustments of when to call timeouts, when not to call timeouts, when to let his guys kind of roll through, stretches where they're playing not so great, and when to just shut it down and make some adjustments. He's becoming a better coach on the fly with a team that has a chance to win a title. And I think the continued growth and evolution of him is going to be a major, major factor for the Celtics the closer they get to winning Banner 18.
And Sherrod, you bring up a really good point. Gary, I'd love to hear what you think Joe has grown over the last few, since he's honestly just been named head coach of this team. What has he improved on the most?
Yeah, I do think he's gotten a better sense of not trying to prove that is like the timeout thing. I think he's gotten better. And what game was that? The Sixer game. He used all of his timeouts. Like
I know, that was crazy.
They finished the game with no timeouts left. So, he's trying to, I think, figure that out and understand that, you can try to let your team play out of the runs, but it's better just to stop, take a deep breath, maybe make a lineup switch, as opposed to allowing a 10-0 run turn into a 20-0 run. So I think he's kind of more aware of that. And sometimes that's what the team needs, just a break. I think that he's not, with the ego thing, like, he didn't play Grant against Cleveland. He said it was because of matchups. He played Mike Muscala. Like, he's not sparing any egos. I don't know how that will translate. I'm sure guys everybody wants to play. Everybody wants to play 40 minutes a game. Everybody wants to be in the game. Nobody wants to get a DNP. But I think, Joe's like, listen, I'm going to do what it takes for us to win. If Grant is undersized against Mobley and Allen, I'm not playing Grant. I'm going to stretch the floor and play Muscala. If Muscala isn't fit, I'll play Blake Griffin. Like, I get that. And I just think that's what coaches have to do. Everything ain't nice in the NBA, and you can't, pat everybody on the back and tell them to do well. Like, what you need to do is you need to play the best lineup to maximize your chances to win. And if that doesn't include certain guys, certain nights, that's just the way it's going to be.
So looking ahead to tonight's matchup, Friday night's matchup against the new look Nets, because when I say new look, I can't even tell you who is the star on this team. Would you say it's Ben Simmons? Let's start with that. Who do you two think the star is? Because I'm not.
They don't have
Spencer
one.
Dinwiddie.
They don't have one. They don't have one.
I mean, we're on the same page.
Spencer's a good player, and
That's underrated still.
Yeah, but the thing about this Brooklyn Nets team now is they have a number of nice, solid role positional type players who, again, if you're putting together a championship caliber team, these are the guys that are surrounding your core group.
A star, yeah.
And that's a problem if you're talking about winning a championship, which Brooklyn obviously is not talking about now. But the bigger, I think, issue for them is just getting to the damn playoffs. I mean, right now, they're 6th in the East, but they're 6th and sinking. They've lost 8 of their last 10 games. They're like 4 games ahead of the 10th place team, which is the Washington Wizards. So they're trending in the wrong direction to achieve anything even remotely close to their goals at the start of the season. And, they're going to play hard. They're going to give good effort because that's how their coach is built. That's how this roster is now built. But if you're the Boston Celtics, this is a team that, they're not going to just, lie down and play dead and let you stomp on them. But at the end of the day, you need to put them down and stomp on them because you're that much better than them. And that, I think, is what we'll see tonight. I think that it'll be a relatively close game early on, but the Celtics, I think, will gradually pull away, win this thing by 15, 20 points.
As they should.
Yeah. I think what they're doing is they're using Mikal Bridges and Cam Johnson kind of as a 1-2 punch. And so Bridges' number's been very good with Brooklyn. He had a 45-point game, I believe, last week. So if I'm the Celtics, got to watch out for Bridges. Bridges had a good game with Phoenix when they came in and beat the Celtics. He had 25 points last month. So if I'm the Celtics, you got to beware. You just, there's not a lot of scouting reports in terms of like this individual team. I mean, this team collectively, not individuals. I was just scouting reports of all the players, but, I think Jacques Vaughn is working on the fly at this point with, Dorian Finney-Smith and Spencer Dinwiddie, Cam Johnson and Mikal Bridges. Nick Claxton has had a good year. Ben Simmons out the rotation. They're trying to figure out what to do with him. So, I mean, Cam Thomas, who knows what he's going to do. He had that real scoring binge, and then they've kind of taken him out of he's kind of a member of the second unit. Now he's not really starting anymore. Seth Curry is still here, and so is Joe Harris. So you got capable, solid NBA players. Okay, the Celtics have done worse. They have lost to worse teams. So they have to be very aware of this one tonight, not looking ahead to New York or the game in Cleveland. Take care of business, make it easy on yourselves, not have to sweat it out and play Tatum and Brown 40 minutes, and then get ready for that game on Sunday against the Knicks.
This might be too big of a big picture question, but do you think an NBA team needs a superstar to win a championship?
In this day and age, I would say yeah, because I just think that when you look at the overall talent in the NBA, there's such parity that when you have guys that are a clear notch above, maybe 2-3 notches above the masses, that's the difference between your team winning a championship or not. I don't think you'll see the days of, like when the Detroit Pistons won it in 2004, where they really didn't have a guy that you would say was in the NBA's top 25 at that point. I don't think you're going to see teams have the kind of success that they had. I think there are teams that are going to be very good and be very challenging and be competitive. But at the end of the day, you're going to need a ultimate difference maker to get over the hump. You look at the teams that have won championships, Golden State. You look at, the Toronto Raptors with Kawhi Leonard, a couple years ago. You look at Milwaukee with Giannis. There's a clear pattern where the best player on the floor plays for the winning team, and not the top three of the top four, not four of the top five. The best player typically wins a playoff series, or his team, I should say. And that, to me, is why, if you're the Boston Celtics, you love your team now, because you've got two guys who can literally be the best player on the floor any given night. And more nights than not, those two guys, Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, are two of the top three players every night. So, yeah, I absolutely believe you got to have a star, at least one.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that. I also think if you have the right circumstances, like you pointed out, the 04 Pistons, where you have everybody has a role, everybody plays that role, you get good years from guys coming off the bench, that you could be a very good team. I mean, now, can Mikal Bridges be the best player in a championship team? No. But with Bridges, Cam Johnson, Dinwiddie, Claxton at the rim, like, you've got enough talent, Joe Harris and Seth Curry, like, you've got enough talent to where they can win their share of games and be competitive. But yeah, like, I do think you need that superstar, Durant, if somebody might include Kyrie Irving in that, or when they try to get James Harden, had that big three in Brooklyn, like, that didn't work out. But I do think you need star power in this league. This is a star-driven league. But with the right circumstances, I think you can have a team competitive with kind of not a mega star, but like a star, kind of a star, that type of thing. A guy who's might be on the verge of an all-star team.
Semi-star.
Yeah. If you have guys who like can help him, if you have like a guy who's kind of close to him, to where you have kind of a smaller 1-2 punch. Like Bridges is a guy who could make eventually all-star team. Because of he's a two-way player. Johnson's a good two-way player. Like, if you could put those together and you're just so deep, you know what I'm saying? It could do it, but mostly no, you that can't happen. You need a superstar.
Well, then our next ad is for Josiah, because I don't know exactly what was his thought process when he unloaded KD and Kyrie. But the thing about running your own business is that every single hire counts, and no hiring partner understands that like Indeed. Indeed is a hiring platform where you can attract, interview, and hire all in one place. Don't spend hours on multiple job sites looking for candidates with the right skills when you can do that with Indeed. Find top talent fast with Indeed's suite of powerful hiring tools like their Indeed Instant Match, assessments, and virtual interviews. Hate waiting? Indeed's US data actually shows that over 80% of Indeed employers find quality candidates whose resume on Indeed matches their job description the moment they sponsor a job. One of their biggest tools that we talk about often on this podcast is that Instant Match tool. You can invite candidates to apply through that Instant Match, and they're 3 times more likely to apply to your job than candidates who only see it in their search. With Instant Match, as soon as you sponsor a job, you'll get a short list of, again, quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job description, and you can invite them to apply right away. If all of this sounds good to you and your small business, then Indeed knows that when you're doing everything for your company, you can't afford to overspend on hiring. So visit Indeed.com/A-list to start hiring right now. Once again, that's Indeed.com/A-list. Indeed.com/A-list. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? You need Indeed. All right, let's quickly go around the NBA because, as usual, our favorite soap opera, that is the National Basketball Association, had some drama over the past week. And one of the bigger stories is the fact that Ja Morant allegedly is accused of having a weapon on his body. And I just react to the story. If you did not read about it, I would say just go search what Ja Morant did this week.
Yeah, Ja Morant did not. He had the best and worst of weeks. The good news is you got that deal with Powerade. You're the face of the drink. The bad news,
the young NBA star.
Yeah, the bad news is you might be catching a case same week.
Well said.
And I'm glad that is what we call bad for business when you're having that kind of week. And again, Ja Morant, incredibly talented player. Certainly when you talk about future stars of the NBA, he is one of those names, one of those players who immediately enters that conversation. And this is the kind of thing that can absolutely derail any and all momentum that he has going forward. And if you're Memphis, your biggest concern is this becomes a distraction to your team and it impacts what happens on the floor. But Ja Morant, hopefully, once all this is sorted out, he will learn a lesson from this. And to me, the biggest lesson for him to learn is understand that when you become a big time talent in a not so big time market, you open yourself up to this kind of stuff. So you got to be smarter about who you associate with, who your inner circle is, and most important, who you deal with that's not in that inner circle. I mean, I don't know anything about the person that he allegedly did whatever to, but I do know that
guard, I believe,
I do know that person, they ain't putting no bread in his pocket. They're not going to help him become a better basketball player. They're not part of his inner circle, and they're literally someone that he does not have to deal with. And when you're putting yourself in a position where you're bringing drama not only to your team but to your livelihood, and maybe most important to me, to your bag, because your bag might be a little bit lighter because of this. You better believe that Powerade is watching closely to see how this plays out, because they will absolutely pull a Lucy and Charlie Brown your ass and just, you think you about to kick it with the family, get the big bag. Next thing you know, you're flat on your back with no money in your pocket.
Gary loves the Sherrod analogy.
Be careful. Be more careful going forward.
Bag, what did Marshawn Lynch said, take care of your chicken.
Take care of your chicken. Shout out to Gary's fellow Cal Covey, Marshawn.
My second favorite Cal alum.
Yeah, he's a good
guy.
One of my favorites. I mean, I think Ja's gotta understand that, people are gonna target him, but the whole like hanging around a bunch of dudes and being, like trying to be a tough guy, like
you're act hard, like
like you're an NBA player, okay? Like, and we've all covered, and we all known dudes that have kind of blurred the lines between being a street dude and being an NBA player. And sometimes we've known examples of guys who, even though they make the NBA, even though they make lots of money, they're still street dudes. They still kind of associate and identify with being in the hood, doing hood things, being around hood cats who, might not have the best interests at heart, that just, want some smoke, And so Ja has to learn. Now, there's this example that we read in the Washington Post story. Also, the situation with the Indiana Pacers, where, somebody was shining a light on one of the Pacers staff members because there was trash talk during the game. Like, Ja's got to understand, like, you're young, you're rich, you're successful, people love you, you can watch yourself on TV dunking on people. It's great. You can't be intoxicated with the success, and you can't think you're invincible, right? You can't, you can't be dabble in that. One, it's dangerous. Just ask Tupac, right? Tupac, and this is before, he was a little baby Kwani. But
I know about Tupac's story.
no, I know you don't. I know you don't watch. I know you watch. I know you watched the movie.
Right.
You watched the movie and all that. But Tupac was 24, 25 years old and started to get involved in the street life. These streets don't care about you, right? Like the streets don't care.
And we've seen that countless times with rapper Nipsey Hussle. Like,
yeah, like the streets don't care.
Pop
Like,
Smoke, right? They're a hater.
Somebody will do something to you and not worry about it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and take your life or try to take your life, or somebody will match your smoke with more smoke. Like, you're a target naturally. And I think Ja has to understand, like, in Memphis is no joke of a city. Okay. Memphis is not to be played with. I don't care where Memphis is a tough city. Okay. I have family that lives in Memphis. Like, Memphis it's got its good parts, but you can't be doing too much. And I think this hopefully is a wake-up call. And it's not like, Ja's dad's courtside every game. Like, it's not like Ja suffers from like, man, I don't have no parents. Or like, your dad is sitting there courtside every game in shades, chilling. Your mom is like, you ain't coming from nothing. Just stop it with stop it with the like, that's what disappoints me. It's like, like the whole narrative of like, I had it hard and like people love to say that, and it ain't really about that life. They weren't like that. It's okay. It's okay to say my parents are all both functional, successful. They raised me well. No, I'm not street.
Like, let's see that.
I'm not street. It's okay to say that because, instead of perpetrating. And I just think you look at Ja, and it's like, yeah, I'm sure Ja's a tough guy. I'm sure he ready to drop, throw down and fight when he needs to or whatever. But you surrounding yourself with a bunch of dudes that like don't have your best interests at heart. Right. He has a child. Like, what are you doing fighting guys at pickup basketball games? What are you doing? What do you like? Some of that somebody needs, and if hopefully it's his father. Like, Ja, you done too much. Chill. You're killing your brand. You're killing your reputation, and you don't want something to happen. And so I just think Ja's got to step up and be a man. Like, just because these guys look like men, some of them aren't men yet. Some of them got to grow up. They got to figure things out and quit trying to front. I know you listen to all the music and everybody has haters. Everybody came from absolutely nothing in the projects. Like, that's not true. It just ain't true. It's like, some of these kids, folks, it is okay to come from a two-parent home. It's okay to come where your dad's in the picture. That don't make you soft. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. And it for some of us who grew up with single-parent homes, it makes me feel like I would have loved to have grown up with a two-parent home. Like, you know what I'm saying? Quit perpetrating like you got it. Like, you're not that guy. Ja's dad was at the draft with him, sitting courtside every game. Like, where's the like? Ja, you're not straight up ghetto hood. Like stop that. I'm not saying he's not tough. I'm not saying he's soft, but quit trying to be, and that's an athlete. Quit trying to be got people that you're not. Images and rappers and stuff that like talk about the life, but they're not living the life.
Right. Like,
they're not. That's not their real life. They're talking about an image. And I think Ja's trying to portray like, I'm tough. Okay, we get it, Ja. You don't play that, but you got to make better decisions. You're a multi-millionaire. Like, you got to act like that.
No, I love that you said that, because let's be honest, the NFL and the NBA, whether they want to admit it or not, they definitely capitalize off of the single parent narrative. And there's nothing wrong with you being able to be successful from it, but it also shouldn't be the be all end all of you being able to make it to the league or you having enough grit on your shoulder to be a successful athlete. Like, I love that you just well said. Like, I think that needs to be said more, because the NFL draft is so good at like just bringing that tearjerker story. And it's like, all right, what about that middle-class kid that just happens to be really good at football?
Yeah, and there's fathers that are around. Yeah. He might not be married to the mom, but there's dads that are around that are in their child's lives or whatever. Like, we got to stop that. We got to stop these dudes from thinking, I've got to identify with the streets and I got to run with a crew of dudes and killers in order for me to get my respect around here. Like, Ja, you get respect. Ain't nobody trying to disrespect. And if they are, they're clowns. Just, you want to do that, pull out your paycheck stub, see what happens.
Right, they ain't gonna say nothing.
Like Ice Cube said, let's take big bank, take little bank. I mean, if you do that, and then I said, Sherrod's been there. He's seen dudes, people get heckled by the fans. Oh, okay, well, I made 18 million this year. How much you made? Okay, I'm gonna be right back on the court and ball, and you sit with, So I just think there's different ways to do it, and I think Ja, and hopefully for him and other young NBA players, have to learn that this is not this is not the way.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Any words on that, Sherrod?
Nah, G Money sucked all the air and oxygen out of that one. Did
No,
a damn good job at
perfectly.
it. But the bottom line in all of this is that you need to be an absolute assassin on the basketball court, period. You do that, all the respect and props are going to come your way. Look at Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant wasn't a thug. He wasn't no hood rat, but guess what? He would bust your ass when he got between them lines. And you respected him for that. And Ja, that's the thing that to me is so mind-boggling. People respect his game because he's good. That's where your street cred comes from, not what you do in the streets, but what you do in that damn basketball court. He has to embrace the fact that he's a basketball player who's extremely talented, and stay in your lane while you do it. You don't need to be a thug to have thugs like you. You don't. Kobe Bryant had a great career. You can go down the line. Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan. The greats don't have to be part of that life to get respect from those who are living that life. And Ja, I hope this is a lesson for him that, I just got to be smarter going forward about some of the decisions I make and some of the people that I have in my inner circle, because he needs to start thinking more like a business and not just a basketball player, because he is a business. You are a
man.
brand.
I see the bars, Jay-Z. I'm a businessman.
Yeah, exactly. We got Jay-Z quotes up here. We got Ice Cube. Look at this.
He just needs to find a mentor somewhere, and I think he'll be good. But until next week, this has been the A-List podcast. On that episode, we'll talk a little bit more about the Western Conference, LeBron James's injury, and what that means for the league overall. But for Sherrod Blakely and Kwani, and of course, Kwani Lunis, Gary Washburn, this is the A-List podcast. Thank you for listening.